and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I will teach you how to do a crochet attached I cord. It's no secret that I love a good attached I cord to a lot of my knitting projects. And the crocheters that follow me have been asking me for a while, Marley, can we do that in crochet? Well, the answer is yes. We do need a couple of extra tools to complete this task, so let's take a look at what those might be. First and foremost, you need the project that you will be attaching your I cord to. You need a stitch marker, a tapestry needle, and a good pair of scissors, like always. Then you need your crochet hook you will be using for the project. Along with these items, you need some item to hold on to the stitches if you don't want to do the pinch method. Now, this is a shawl pin, and if for this, I would just use this wood part of the shawl pin. This is a double pointed knitting needle. This is a cable needle, and this is just another crochet hook. Whatever tool you have on hand that can hold on to those stitches until you're ready to use them up will work just fine. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to do this attached I cord with our crochet hook. I will be demonstrating on a basic granny square, but you can do an attached I cord to any sort of project. I begin usually near the edge of my project, but again, you could join anywhere you wish. And I usually will join my new yarn with a slip stitch. I will chain 4. Working into the second chain from hook, I will insert my hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Go to the next chain, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Go to the last chain, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Then working into the same stitch that I joined my yarn into, I insert my hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. I now want to take a stitch marker and place it in that very first loop that was on my hook. That loop will be just hanging off to the side. We aren't going to use it. We're going to be working our I cord over those 4 stitches. So to get that loop off, I'm going to slide my crochet hook over and let that loop just fall off. It's at this point I can continue on with my I cord, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do it with 2 crochet hooks here to begin with. I have all my stitches on the back half of this crochet hook, so I grab my other crochet hook. My yarn is attached down here, and I will take this first loop off of the hook, yarn over, and pull that yarn over through the loop that I just put on my hook. Take the next loop off of the other hook, yarn over, and pull through that loop onto the new hook. Now I want to take both loops off of the other hook, yarn over, and draw through both of those loops. So I have 3 loops remaining. I now go to the next stitch up on my granny square, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so I'm back to 4 loops. I will slide those down, switch hooks, and repeat the process. Take the first hook, pull the loop off, yarn over, pull that through. Okay? Take the next loop off, yarn over, pull that through. Take the last 2 loops off, yarn over, pull through both of those. Go to the next stitch up on the actual project or space or wherever it is, and yarn over and pull up a loop. So I'm back to 4 loops. Let's do this again. Slide them down the crochet hook. Take the first loop off, yarn over, and pull through. Now I do like to tighten that up a little bit, and you're going to see why here in just a second, okay? Then I take the next loop, yarn over, and pull through. Then I take the final 2 loops, yarn over, and draw through both of those. Go to the next stitch up, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Okay, now at this point you're like, okay, I'm starting to see a little something happening here, but you might be turning it over and saying, well, wait a second, what are all those loose goosey sort of strings going on back there? I'm going to tell you, don't worry about those. That's why we put this stitch on a holder. We are going to treat those as if they were like drop stitches in knitting, and we will use this loop to climb up those ladders essentially that we're creating to create a nice tight stitch. So it'll be nice and clean when it is all done. Pretty neat, right? Now I am aware that most crocheters do have several sets of crochet hooks and not many have knitting needles. But if you are one of those crocheters that has a knitting needle or a double pointed knitting needle, this is what you could do to hold those stitches instead of the crochet hook. You could take your knitting needle and you will slide those stitches over to your knitting needle. Okay, leave that last stitch on your hook, yarn over and pull through. Take one off of your knitting needle, yarn over and pull through. Take the last two off your knitting needle, yarn over and pull through. Next stitch up, yarn over and pull up a loop. Once again, you would transfer all these over to your knitting needle, and we repeat the process. Now this one does take a little bit more time, and if you become pretty ambidextrous with the crochet hooks, like using the two hooks, you don't need this knitting needle. You could get by just fine. But some of you are more comfortable with the knitting needle than holding the back end of the crochet hook, so you prefer that method, and that's totally fine. All right, so maybe you don't have another crochet hook, you don't have a DPN, but maybe you do have an extra like shawl pin laying around. So we'll get rid of this part of the shawl pin. We'll take the pin part and we'll use it just like we did the knitting needle. So we'll just poke it in to grab those stitches off and pull them off. Can you see how literally anything can be used that you're able to work off of to get those stitches? As long as they can hold the stitches in place until you get to them, it just makes it really handy. Now there are some people out there who can do all of this just by pinching those stitches and then working them off individually without anything holding them. I am not that person. I am not very good at that. So I always like to have something holding my stitches. Don't forget that once you get back to three stitches, you do want to go in and pick up another one. Now I'm at the corner here, and this is important to point out. Just like when you're doing a crochet corner where you either do a chain 3 or you do 3 stitches into one space, we're going to do the same thing. We will place our 3 loops that we pull up into that same space as we create this curve for the I cord. So I pulled up a loop. Let's do this one again because I'm already here, and why not? And because I'm a knitter, I tend to gravitate towards the knitting method, but this works out just fine for me. Obviously not when I'm talking. You want to chase them. Don't let them fall off before you have a hold of them. All right, there we are. Yarn over and go through 2. See, that's why I cannot do the pinch method. Go into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and we can do this again. So I'm just scooting them down my crochet hook. I'm going to take one off at a time. Yarn over, pull through. One off, yarn over, pull through, and then take these 2 off. There's 1, there's 2, yarn over, pull through. So that was 2 in that corner. Now I would just do 1 more. So I would pull up a loop and I would just get 1 more in that corner. If you are not a fan of putting 3 in the corner, another option that you do have is just continuing on with the 3 stitches from the I cord itself without the actual stitch in the fabric, where you're just creating like a detached I cord. So like if you get to this point and you just work continuously making an I cord here to get the turn where it's not attached. But if we're already attaching things, why not just continue? So this, I would pull up my loop, and now I'm continuing on to go down my path this direction. Can you see how that works? I'm curious how many of you are going to use a crochet hook and another crochet hook, or if you're going to use a crochet hook and a knitting needle, a crochet hook and a shawl pin, or a crochet hook and, oh, I don't know, a cable needle, or whatever you have around that works. I would love to know what you're using. Can you see that? Now again, on the back side, this is what we have. We have these loose stitches here. And what we will do is when this is all done, you'd go back, take your marker out of this stitch, and we would pick up our stitches. Now I do have another sample over here where I'm ready to do that, and I'll be able to show you how to join the two ends together so you can make it look seamless. So let's jump to that one. I'm gonna pull this one in, and this one is not a granny square. It was just a little swatch I had laying around. But what I did here is in this first corner, I did the detached I cord. So you can see right here that I cord is not actually attached to that corner. So I did the detached version so you can see what that looks like. And then in the other ones, I did all of them attached. I prefer the attached. I think it looks cleaner going around, but I will leave that up to you. I am at the very end of my project here. I have no more stitches to pick up and pull up. So I have 3 stitches left on which would have been my hook. That would be 3 stitches left on my hook. And so I put those on a holder. It is now, I turn my work over and I would remove the marker that was holding the loop from the very beginning. I put that loop on my hook, and then working on the back side, I find all of these loops that are loose and I pull them through like a slip stitch. So it's like I'm climbing a ladder, you guys. And you'll notice as I go into the loop and I pull that loop through this one, it's going to tighten up that V right there. Okay, ready? So I'm going to pull it through. See how it tightened that up? That's how you know you have the right string as you're going up the side. Let's watch this loop. See how it tightens that up? It makes it look nice and neat. So this is exactly how knitters pick up drop stitches. And we're doing the exact same thing. Only we're just doing slip stitches, and we're using our crochet hook to pick up our loops and go all the way up. Okay, a couple of them here. I tended to keep this really nice and snug, and some of them I have a little bit of a tension problem, but for the most part, this little last tip here, I mean, look, it cleans it up super duper nice. When you get to the corner, if you did an attached, let's see, this one would be a detached. This one was detached. So I don't have anything really to connect to at that point. It's already nice and clean. However, if I open it up, can you see the string right there? Even though it's not attached to the gray, I can grab that string on the inside. Let's see if we can find another one. I think it would be that one. Might have to dig a little bit to find it, but you can get around the corner and then just carry on. So I'm going to continue doing this all the way around until I get back to where the very last stitches of mine, right down here, I'm going to get back to where I'm at that point. As you get up near the top, make sure you work all the way up to that very last loop there, and then the loop that you have remaining on your hook, you want to place it next to the loops that you have on a holder. So I'm going to just unsnip or unsnap my stitch marker here and just place that last one in with all of those stitches. Okay, so now I'm back to my original 4 stitches, which is great because at this end I also have a stitch here, a stitch there, a stitch there, and a stitch there. I have 4 over here as well. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do is I am going to essentially mattress stitch or duplicate stitch the pieces together. Okay, I know there are some of you who are going to say, Marley, can't I just slip stitch these over and call it a day and then whip stitch the 2 ends together? Absolutely, you could do that. But if you've taken the time to go all the way around your project with an applied I-cord, why not finish it off and make it look seamless? It's really not as difficult as it might look, and it's only 4 stitches. We can do this over 4 stitches. All right, so let's do this together. We have these 4 stitches right here, and we want to join them to our 4 stitches over here. Now, you can just do these with these stitches left loose, but I am not a fan of doing that because I always drop stitches and I don't want to do that. So I want these stitches to be on a holder, whether it's on my stitch marker or if it's on my hook or if it's on my knitting needle, whatever we decide to do. So why don't let's put them on a crochet hook since we're doing crochet and we all have a crochet hook. So I'm going to take those off and making sure that they're still in the same order, I'm going to put each one of them back onto my crochet hook. All right, so they're back onto my crochet hook. Now this crochet hook is just going to act as a holder at this point. I'm not going to do actually crochet with it, okay? I will take my tapestry needle and thread the tail that I left nice and long onto my tapestry needle. Now, going into this very first stitch over here, I'm going to go from back to front and come through the stitch, okay? I'm going to let that now come off of my needle. I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to find the 2 legs of my first stitch. Can you see that? Those are my 2 legs of my first stitch, and I'm going to go from right to left, right through there. Okay? I'm going to come back to this first one over here. I'm going to go right through the center of it, right through the center and out the side. And I've created my first stitch. I go to the next stitch, I go from back to front, take that off. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to find the next stitch over, find both legs, and go from right to left. I'm going to come back down here. And I want to make sure I'm going into the stitch that I came out of. Where did it go? There it is. Right through the center and out the side. And I create a stitch. Back to front, take it off. Come up here, find the next 2 legs of the stitch. Come back down here, right down the center of the one we took off. And I've created a duplicate. Last one, back to front. Come back over here, find the 2 legs on the opposite side. Come down through the center and back, and I've created a duplicate. So now it's hard to tell where this round started and where it ended, because I finished it to where it looks the same. You can take your end now, just weave it in, just like any other project. Weave in this end also. Don't forget your starting end. Don't just cut it. You want to make sure that you do weave it into the wrong side, okay? Always to the wrong side. I love to bury my ends. If you're looking and being like, she's not doing anything, I am burying my ends, and you can learn more about that right here on the YouTube channel. My friend Ann Burke from Ann Tarja taught me how to bury ends, and it's the best thing in the whole world to get rid of all of your ends. And it's at that point, I just wove them in on the right side because I wasn't thinking. Anyways, but you can't tell, they're all gone. But look at that. Look at this beautiful, it's a nice stretchy I-cord and it's applied. I don't have to do anything extra. The beginning looks just like the end. I mean, look how pretty all of my corners look. And it is just a beautiful finish. Now, I know I can't wait to add this to more of my projects, and now you can add this to your Crocheters Toolbox. Whether you have a couple of crochet hooks, if you happen to have a knitting needle or a shawl pin or a cable needle, whatever you have lying around to help you hold on to those stitches, you can make this work. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you will subscribe to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. When you do, make sure you click that notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I release a new video to help you become a better knitter or a crocheter. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit subscribe. I've put a link right over there, or you can watch a couple of the videos I've already selected for you right down there. If you want to follow me on social media, I've put my links right over there. You can have all Marley all the time. Bye guys.